gonna do that yesterday. People coming to get food, but I was like, no.
So funny.
Now I'm always scared to do it because they're like, oh, this one time.
See, I came from before here, but I was in Tulsa. We did all sorts of like goofy icebreakers and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, for instance, like, I was sitting in the government. You could learn. You're on the government.
I was a Vista year.
Oh,
I was a city year, and then like my best friend that I met, there's a light. She's been at city year for like 25 years, and actually I'll see her this weekend, and I'm always like, oh, you're just stuck in this culture
yeah.
of icebreakers.
Yeah.
And talking.
But like we're all still meetings, I'm like, let me do an icebreaker. I'll do it.
I think I'm gonna call court to order. Do you have a gavel?
I do actually.
All rise.
Or you stop all that.
All right. Good morning, everyone. It's great to see such a strong turnout. We have some really important and exciting information to share. We want to make sure that you also have a time to get all of your questions answered. And we've assembled the dream team here beside me. We have a representation from Brenshore, who is a master developer, our developer partner on this redevelopment. We also have Katie from Housing to Home, whose team is going to be overseeing all things related to moving and relocation. We're gonna have plenty of time. You're gonna get a lot of detail, both about the project as well as relocation later on. If I forgot to introduce myself, I'm JD Klippenstein. I'm the Director of Development here at the Reno Housing Authority. I also know that we have Dr. Hillary Lopez somewhere. She was here. I know she's here. Who our Executive Director is here, and then also Heidi McKendry, our Deputy Executive Director, is here. And then just so you know, if you have a question, need some more information at any point, I'm gonna have all RHA staff raise their hands. And if you work at RHA, raise your hands. All right, look around, see the people with their hands raised. If at any point you want more information, you can put your hands down. Yeah, sorry. I appreciate the commitment. You're there. If at any point you need more information, if you would like to have some resources translated into a different language, your preferred language, anything like that, please come and talk to someone who's probably wearing a badge or had their hands raised. I'm getting notice that we want to have higher volume, and I've literally maxed out the volume here, so I'm going to talk as close to this mic as I can. All right. Are we all good on sign-ins? Are there folks still waiting to get in? Can someone check on that for me? We're good? Okay, thank you, Kristen. There's still some? Katie, can you confirm? Okay, we'll wait. I do want you, well, I'll do a little bit of housekeeping while we're waiting for folks to come in. One, this meeting is being recorded. That's why I'm standing here behind the podium. We are recording it and we'll post it on our website if you would like to revisit the meeting. And then also, there's a lot of really useful information in the packet that you received on your way in. Well, we have, of course, the agenda. You then have some FAQs that have a lot of information related to RAD, which is the process, the conversion process that this property is going through. That has information from HUD as well as some responses to questions that were asked back in April, the last time we had a large resident meeting about this project. And then I believe you have a form to offer some feedback related to some of the design that you are going to be shown in terms of what the redevelopment is going to look like, what the rehab inside the units is going to look like. And then towards the end, I think it's actually the last page, we have a one-pager that lays out more specifically information around the temporary relocation that will be a part of this project. Yeah, okay. We're going to troubleshoot real quick to make sure everyone can hear. More in the center.
Oh, maybe.
Pause.
Pausing 1 second. Definitely saw some good jokes.
Hey, I think we have, actually, I have an idea. We have,
1 second, we're just gonna make sure. Is it better in the back if we're over here, in the back here, better like this? Yeah. Yeah.
You want to move it to that side or do you have?
I think we just got limited range because of the power.
Okay,
So I'm trying to.
oh, we're all plugged in over there.
Get this move forward, I said.
I don't know if we're gonna be able to afford JD. I think that's the problem. Is that okay?
Yeah.
I think that's, if we don't need to look forward, then we can just talk about it.
Okay.
All right, just give them this a test with on the microphone. Is this better if we're talking sort of this way?
Yeah.
They never let me use a microphone. Okay, just give us 1 minute for people who aren't as loud. We're gonna sort of set up talking like this. Is this okay?
Yeah.
All right, just give us 1 minute. That's better?
We'll just try this as far over as we
Yeah,
can.
that's
Okay.
You know, Steve's in here, so if you wanna move in here.
That's what I was thinking too.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
I think that because of the translation, folks are staying back in groups. So while we're waiting,
We're gonna get there.
I won't talk too much about relocation until we get to that part of the
See,
meeting.
well, we're directed right at it now. So.
But my name is Katie, and if people have questions that they don't feel comfortable asking in the group, I'm gonna stay after this meeting. Then totally happy to talk with people one-on-one, okay? So if you can't hear, if you're not comfortable asking in a group, if you think about your question after, I'm gonna stay as long as you all want and answer any questions after the meeting, okay? My friend back there has already signed up. She signed up with her eyes, so, does that sound fair?
Yeah.
Because there's gonna be like 20 minutes of a lot of information, and then, I usually need a few minutes to process, and then happy to stay after. Oh, great.
All right.
Good, I'd run out of time.
Thank you. Folks in the front row are going to get blasted, but I will talk loudly into this microphone. Can I get a thumbs up? People can hear? Perfect. Awesome. We're going to pretend like I didn't talk to you for the last 5 minutes. We're going to start the meeting over entirely. My name is JD Klippenstein. I'm the Director of Development here at the Reno Housing Authority. I am very excited you all could be here to join us. We're going to share a lot of really important information about the RAD conversion redevelopment project that is happening here at Silverada. Over here, I have a group of folks who are going to share a lot more information shortly. We have Whitney Weller, Anna Libby, are from Brenshore, our developer, our master developer on this project. We also have Jeff Frame from Frame Architecture, who is the architect on this project, and they'll be sharing a lot of information related to floor plans and some other ideas they have for the project, and then wanting to get some feedback from you all to incorporate into the design moving forward. And we'll have time for you to specifically offer that. And then the very robustly voiced Katie over here is from Housing to Home, and they are our relocation specialist. Her and her team will be working with you individually when it comes to all things moving and any of the temporary relocation that will be required as part of this project. And then I'm going to do the RHA shout out one more time. I have Dr. Hillary Lopez, our executive director, is here in the front row. Next to her is our deputy executive director, Heidi McKendry. And then we have a whole bunch of RHA staff. RHA staff, can you raise your hand? One of 18 times I'm going to ask you to do this. Excellent. Okay. If you all have questions, if Silverado Manor residents have questions, family members have questions, please come and connect with any of the RHA staff that you see. They will likely bring you to me, and I will answer your question or bring you to the expert that you need to talk to. So that being said, I'm going to jump into some information in particular related to RAD, or Rental Assistance Demonstration. That is the tool, the process that we are going through with HUD in order to redevelop this property. And there's some really specific information we want to share with you, and also HUD requires that we share with you. So I'm going to essentially, I get the boring part, and then the exciting parts related to the redevelopment, and then also the really important information related to relocation will be shared later in the meeting. And then once we're done sharing, you'll have plenty of time to ask questions. So as you're going throughout, feel free to write down a question, make a note, You can interrupt me if you'd like, but it might be a little bit easier if we all wait until the end on the question. All right. So what is RAD, the Rental Assistance Demonstration? So it is, like I said, the process that we are going through in order to essentially change Silverada Manor from a public housing site to a different kind of affordable housing project. It changes the way that the property is funded, essentially. And the reason that we are doing that is the public housing program has been underfunded for decades by the federal government, which means that for decades, the housing authority hasn't had enough money to keep up on all the needs that the property has in terms of fixing repairs, but also just updating the units, making sure that it is as up to date in terms of accessibility, in terms of amenities that we can. We're limited with the resources that we can actually invest into the property. And this isn't a problem that's going to go away. We can't just write it out and hope that one day public housing gets a bunch more funding. It's not going to happen. So instead, what HUD has allowed housing authorities to do is to switch the way that public housing properties are funded through RAD. And essentially what it means is that we're going to convert this property from public housing to a affordable housing property that its subsidy will come from Section 8, which you all might know as the vouchers. There will be project-based vouchers back onto the units. This lets us do two things. One, when we convert and it's no longer public housing, we are able to tap into a bunch of other funding, loans, grants, all kinds of other funding to redevelop the project that we cannot access if it stays public housing. And additionally, the subsidy, the money that we will get to subsidize the rent and pay for operations, that money will be much more predictable and will increase over time instead of decreasing over time. So for you, that means that once this project is complete, you will live in a beautiful brand new unit on the inside, but you're going to see some really great design shortly. And it'll be great for you, but this property will be something that folks can access for decades to come. We can ensure that this stays affordable for many more community members into the future. You know what? I went through this slide already. So I said all these points. We don't need to belabor it. But again, we're doing this to invest in the property for you now and also to ensure that this can be affordable and a great place to live well into the future. And in order to, I'm gonna go to the video. In order to really kind of talk through all the details of RAD, instead of being bored by me, we were going to show you this video that HUD has put together, and it has a lot of really great information.
Are you still with the tenant council?
Yeah,
I just received this letter saying my unit was going through RAD. What's RAD?
that's RAD. It stands for the Rental Assistance Demonstration. Do you remember when my building was renovated last year? That's RAD.
Oh, so my building would be just like this? That would be nice.
Well, it depends on what work your building needs. The housing authority should be scheduling a meeting with you and your neighbors to talk about their ideas. Does the letter say anything about the meeting?
Oh, yes, here it is. So what's going to happen to me? I remember you had to move for a little bit. Will I have to move too?
Maybe. It depends on whether they'll be doing work in your unit. I wouldn't worry though. If you have to relocate temporarily, you have the right to return to the property. Under RAD, all residents stay housed with rental assistance. When I had to move temporarily, the housing authority found me a place, moved me there and back. They paid for everything, and not just because they were being nice. It's the federal government's ruling. And my new place, just look, it's great.
The letter says my unit and the building are going to be completely renovated. Do I have to reapply to stay in my unit?
No, all you have to do is continue to follow the terms of your lease. you'll need to sign a new lease because the RAD conversion changes how the Public Housing Authority gets funded by the federal government. It's a switch from the public housing budget to the Section 8 budget, but all the terms of the lease will still follow HUD regulation.
And if my place looks as good as yours, how much more will I have to pay?
Nothing more. Rent and utilities are still 30% of your income. The only tenants who might see a change are those paying a flat or ceiling rent. Your apartment will be preserved as rent assisted through a project-based voucher or a project-based rental assistance contract. And I got a new right we didn't have before. After 1 or 2 years, I have the right to jump to the top of the waiting list for a tenant-based voucher if I want to move to a new place and keep paying the same rent. I hear this isn't available in some small communities where the housing authority doesn't have a voucher program, but it's definitely an option for us.
What's the difference between project-based and tenant-based subsidy?
A project-based voucher or rental assistance stays with the unit. As long as you live in a unit with project-based subsidy, your rent and utilities stay the same. But if you move, that discount stays with the unit for the next tenant. But if you get a tenant-based voucher, you can move to anywhere that accepts the voucher and continue to pay your subsidized rent.
So is the building being sold? Who will manage it?
Each housing authority makes that decision. In my case, the housing authority partnered with an investor. That's how they got the money to make all the improvements. But the housing authority is still involved and will make all the day-to-day decisions. The housing authority will also decide whether they'll keep managing the property or whether they'll bring in another company. These are good questions, and the housing authority has to explain all of this when you meet with them.
I've been saving a lot of money in my self-sufficiency program. Will I lose my savings?
No, self-sufficiency programs continue uninterrupted.
So what are the downsides to RAD?
Honestly, a major construction project is a pain. Things are kind of out of sorts for a while, and I had to move temporarily, but the end result is worth it, both for me and to make sure that this place is available for a family like mine when I move out. For us, it was important to work closely with the housing authority to plan for the construction. In some ways, we know the building better than they do, like the fact it takes a long time for the hot water to arrive. They decided to change the hot water system. Now it's much better and I don't waste all that water. It's also important to work with them on any relocation issues. One of my neighbors wanted to be closer to her son across town, so they found her a place that worked well for her. We also got them to create a new office for the tenant council. We wouldn't have gotten that if we hadn't asked.
I really do like your new place. So what's next?
Well, it looks like they notified you. That notice has a lot of information about your right. They'll be setting up at least 2 meetings to talk about RAD even before they can apply to HUD to participate. And they're required to have more meetings after that as they develop more detailed plans. You'll get a chance to tell them what you think. While there was definitely a change to my routines, I feel good knowing that by working through the RAD process, I've done my part to preserve this building and the rental subsidy for the folks who come after us.
I'll go over there. You can end the video. It's a good video, and I am going to be reviewing those rights again that were there at the end of the video. So a couple of things we want you to be sure you're aware of in terms of your rights as residents of this property going through a RAD conversion. The first is that you have the right to return. So you have a right to return to this property. You will not be displaced because of the conversion happening here. So regardless of if you are temporarily relocated off-site, you will be able to come back to this project. We also will not be rescreening for eligibility for the project-based vouchers that will be providing your subsidy. So you will be able to move back into a unit and not have to be rescreened for eligibility. As this video alluded to, and as I'm sure Katie will talk about, you will not pay any out-of-pocket expenses for any moving that you must do for either if you're temporarily relocated off-site or if you just need to move into a newly renovated unit. All of that will be paid for by the housing authority, and coordinated with Housing to Home, who will give you a lot more information about that shortly. And then if you are required to relocate offsite temporarily, that will all be done through Housing to Home. They will be helping you through all of those, the whole process, identifying a place, making sure that everything's lined up both to the temporary location and then back. All of that will be handled by Katie and her team. And we'll talk more about that in a little bit. And then the last thing, as the video said, your participation in self-sufficiency programs and resident councils, all of that is going to remain on the redeveloped property. It doesn't go away simply because it's no longer public housing. It'll be an element that you all can access here at the brand new Silverada Manor. And then a couple of other things, these are kind of boring, but we're required to tell you this stuff. This project does not involve transferring rental assistance to another property. Sometimes housing authorities will kind of like move the rental assistance program to a different property and build there. That is not happening here. The redevelopment is staying on site and the rental assistance will stay on site here. So you're coming back to this site. Also, during construction, Brenshore, our developer partner, they're going to be a co-owner in the property. And that has to do with how we are financing the project. So Brenshore, the housing authority, and then an investor who provides the funding that we need to pull together in order to redevelop the project or finance the project will all be co-owners. When construction is complete, Brenshore will exit. They're a turnkey developer. They're going to help us develop it. And then they exit once the project is complete and folks have moved back in. But RHA is going to stay as a co-owner in the project. And we ourselves are what would be called the managing member, meaning that we would manage the property, operate the property, have control over the day-to-day operations. So for you, it means that the staff that you work with now, the way that we manage the property now, much of it's going to remain exactly the same post-conversion. We are also not, at this point, we're not reducing the number of units, and we haven't yet made a decision about changing the configuration of units in terms of changing a 2-bedroom to a 1-bedroom or vice versa. If we make that decision, you all will know before we make that decision. At this point, that decision hasn't been made. And then finally, once the project is converted, it will have an elderly preference on the site, and it will, in terms of leasing and the folks who are able to move into the property, it will operate very similar to what leasing and tenant selection looks like now. Okay, it's a lot of information. We have a lot of that in writing. And I will show you in a little bit our website where you can find a lot of this. But the last thing I want to make sure that you're aware of is something called choice mobility. And they talked about this at the end of the video. But essentially, a RAD conversion provides all the residents with choice mobility. And that is an option you have after completing at least a 12-month lease with your project-based voucher, your new unit. If you're here for another year and you're in good standing, you could qualify for a tenant-based voucher, and you would essentially be fast-tracked to the top of the list if there's availability for that tenant-based voucher. And with that, you can move to anywhere in the community that would take the tenant-based voucher. So if that's something that you're interested in doing, you would have a fast track into that process, having gone through the RAD conversion process and lived in the redeveloped property for that year following the completion of the project. We want to make sure that you're aware of this. Of course, you can ask questions about that at any point, but that would be something to keep in mind as well. Yes. Yes, thank you, Katie. I'll be very clear. This does not happen now. It does not happen at any point during the redevelopment of the site. Once the site is completed, Brenshore has exited, everyone has moved back or moved into their beautiful renovated unit. If after a year you are a tenant, a resident in good standing, you're paying your rent, you're in compliance with your lease, and you're interested in a housing choice voucher, a tenant-based voucher, you would let us know that, you let the housing authority know that. And based on availability of our housing choice vouchers, you could essentially be fast-tracked to the top of the list to qualify for that, to receive that. That doesn't mean there's a unit waiting for you. It means that now you have a tenant-based voucher and you could go find a landlord who would take it somewhere in the community. But to be very clear, this is not what happens during the relocation for the project. This is after the project is completed. That's a great question. I'll repeat it. So we're talking about a housing choice voucher. It says here at the bottom, to lease a unit in the community, our community, or port to another jurisdiction. So housing choice vouchers can be ported from one housing authority to another housing authority. Not every housing authority is able to do that. They have to, some housing authorities don't have voucher programs, so that you wouldn't be able to port to a housing authority that doesn't have a voucher program. But if they do, there's a process that we can engage in to connect with that housing authority. And essentially you would transfer from Reno Housing Authority to this other housing authority to try to find a unit in that jurisdiction. So I do want to clarify, it doesn't mean you can just point your finger somewhere on the map and be like, I'm moving there. Because I can't tell you that there's a housing authority who we can port to there. It would be based on where you can port on the housing authorities that are in that community.
Back to the co-owner.
Yeah.
Other completely changed the thing.
So
Because I've heard horror stories
Mm.
about co-owners coming in and completely wiping things out.
yeah, no, I appreciate you saying that. So the question is related to the co-ownership. And just to clarify, the way that essentially why this happens is that we'll be using tax credits and bond financing. And the tax credits mean that we have some tax credits that an investor buys. And then that money is how we redevelop the project. In order for that to work, that investor is essentially a silent partner in the project for a certain amount of time. But all of the documents, the agreements that are signed in order to make that financing happen would guarantee that the project stays affordable, that it has the preference to serve folks who are elderly. All of those things would be in writing so that that partner couldn't come in and just make it no longer affordable. That's part of the process, is guaranteeing that stays in place. And in Nevada, it requires no less than a 30-year agreement to maintain that.
And then we'll have plenty of time for questions, but our friend right here.
Yes, sir.
Just tentatively expecting this project to be getting completed.
Yeah, no, that's a great question, sir. And it was regarding timeline. When is it going to start? When is it going to be completed? We are going to share a much updated timeline with some specific dates later on. In terms of when it's starting would be about July or August of next year, possibly sooner. So let's say June, July is when construction would potentially start. I want to clarify that this redevelopment would be happening in phases. So sections of the property will be being worked on while other folks continue to live in other sections of the property. So it's not everyone's leaving and then everyone's coming back. It'll be a phased construction, likely starting in June or July of next year.
Questions or a little confusion. So yesterday we had some meetings at Hawkview, a fellow property with residents, also doing construction and relocation work there. That is looking different for Hawkview than the conversations that we're having here in Silverada today. Okay, so if people heard from Hawkview, friends and family, I think literally there's some family of folks here that live there. If they heard details yesterday, that's pertaining to Hawkview, completely pertaining to Hawkview. What we're going over today is pertaining to Silverada, okay? And there's some similarities, but there's a good amount of differences. And I think one of the points of differences was timing, and we'll continue to talk about that. But we have a few months here before people are gonna be really impacted in terms of relocation.
Yeah.
Okay,
And I don't want to steal Brinshore's thunder. They'll share a much fuller detailed timeline and when they come up in just a few minutes, but I appreciate the question. I'll take one more question and then we'll go from there. I think I saw you in the back there. Okay, so the question is, if you like the new temporary housing better and you would like to stay there instead of returning, I would say that would be on a case-by-case basis. That would be discussed with Housing to Home at that point in time. So I don't want to make a blanket statement about it because it's kind of case by case. And it depends on essentially what temporary relocation looked for each household. So maybe, but would want to connect with Housing to Home to discuss that before I said for sure yes or no. So please write down your questions, try to remember them. I'm not trying to ignore anyone. I just want to make sure we likely will answer more of your questions as the presentation goes on. In terms of where we are in process, can you go to the next slide? Yeah, sorry, go back. No, we're not yet. That's cool. I know you were so close. That's keep going to where it's at the RAD conversion process. There we go. Okay. This somewhat speaks to the timeline question as well. So in addition to the construction timeline, there's also a process timeline that we are going through with HUD. It's a very long and involved process with multiple elements. So we have submitted our application after the initial meeting we had with you all in April. And after we had submitted that initial application, we received a commitment from HUD to enter into a housing assistance payment contract, or CHAP. What that means is that HUD said, great, if you convert the project, we're committing to converting the assistance from public housing to the Section 8 program. So the next couple of steps involved a concept call where we discuss our plans with HUD and they give us the go ahead. We then have to pull together all the financing, again, get the go ahead from HUD. And once HUD has approved the concept and the financing, we then move forward with the RAD conversion commitment. We close on the deal and then all the financing is available and we can begin the actual project. We are right here in terms of this meeting that we're having right here is one of the requirements that we have to complete before we can even schedule a concept call. To be very clear, we want to have this meeting, right? We want to share as much information as we can, but I also want to assure you that HUD takes this process really, really seriously. So we're required to have meetings along the way. These are the meetings we're having before we can even schedule the concept call to discuss it further with HUD. So that's where we are in terms of that process. And then one more thing in terms of how to stay informed. In a little bit, I'm going to have Amber pull up our website. We have put a bunch of information on our website recently that has a lot more to do with RAD, what things are looking like at Silverada. I also want to make sure that you continue to attend these meetings. I love how well attended this meeting is. Please feel free to attend all the meetings that we have around this project. And probably the most basic thing that you can do is to ask questions. You can ask questions of the property management, resident services. There is an email on the front page of the FAQ is an email. It's silv, S-I-L-V, project@renoha.org. That goes directly to me and my team, and we can provide you information that way. You can also just call Reno Housing Authority and say, hey, I want to talk to someone about the Silverada project, and they will get you to me and my team, and we will be sure to get you the information you're asking for. And at no point, don't stop asking questions. Keep asking questions throughout the process. We want to make sure you are as well informed as you could be. And we have brought on a really strong team in order to make sure you can get all the answers and that this project is a successful project. So with that being said, Now I'll turn it over to Brent Shore, who's going to share some information both on scope of work, timeline, yeah, hold on, and also some feedback on potential design. So I'm going to have them come up real quick as I pull up the website. All right, here's our beautiful new website. At the top, if you go to the homepage, so you're at renoha.org. If you go and look at housing options, you click on that, at the very bottom, you're going to see a new category, redevelopment preservation. Go ahead and click on that. And it's going to take you to a web page with the different projects, our public housing projects that are going through this. As we said, we're doing a project at Hawkview that is distinct to Hawkview. The information is for Hawkview, not for Silverada. If you go down here, you're going to see Silverada Manor. And if you click then on view project details, you're going to be at this web page with a bunch of other documents. You can, if you have trouble sleeping, you can come here and read some really, really boring information. Some of it's very, very important. Some of it will put you to sleep. Right, exactly. The time zone change. But we have information that's specific to RAD. We have the official relocation plan, the overall relocation plan for the property. You also have information that we submitted as part of our RAD application. And then you have a whole series of documents of the information that has already been shared with you all as residents, in particular, the GIN and the RIN, the GIN and the RIN. Those are up here. If you all received this back in April, if you're like, I don't have that anymore, you can come back online and grab it. You can also let us know and we will get you a copy. But I just want to make sure that you're aware of this. Again, I'm sure resident services, asset management, the team here at Silverada can help you navigate this, print off what you want to print off, any of that. Please just talk with them. We want to be as transparent as possible and share as much information as possible. Yeah, so I actually might have you do it because I know you have the official language, so.
So just before we turn over and talk more about the development and the design, hi all, I'm Katie from Housing to Home, and I'm going to be talking some more about relocation. But just wanted to, as we're mentioning the RIN and the GIN, so it's a RAD information notice and a general information notice. Do people remember getting those at the last meeting and signing them? Could you just raise your hand if you do? Okay. Does anyone have any idea what it said or remember what it said? No. Well, is it helpful if I just remind people? Well, my mom taught me to always, when you sign something, make sure you know what you're signing, right? So, so it was a combined notice of a RIN and a GIN, words you don't have to remember, but it basically said the Reno Housing Authority is applying for funding, right, through this process you're learning about. They're required to provide this notice to you, saying if they receive funding, they're going to go ahead with this work, with this construction. It says you don't have to do anything right now. You don't have to move. You shouldn't pay out of pocket for anything. You shouldn't buy any packing materials. You should sit tight, stay put. But they're putting you on notice. They're giving you information that they're applying for funding to do work. Okay, does that make sense? It's a government document. My job is to make sure the housing authority gets all these documents to you all and you understand what they are. So that's what you sign, just saying you understand that this is the beginning of a process. If you want a copy, if you want to talk about it, we're happy to get you another copy or to talk more about it. But that's the RIN and the GIN that last meeting you got. And if you want a copy at this meeting, you can let us know. Okay, like nodding of heads, that's okay? Okay, great.
Thank you, Katie.
Yep.
All right, all. I appreciate the questions and the engagement. We're going to move on to our next presentation from Shore, our developer partner. So I'm going to pull up their slides. I'm going to invite them to come up and share with us some really exciting information.
Good morning. It's really great to see all of you out here with all of us. You can see there's a lot of us between, sorry, I'll hold it closer. Thank you. As you can see, there's a lot of us on this team with the Housing Authority, Brinshore, our design team, but we are all here to help you. I know that when you hear the word developer, I appreciate the gentleman's comment. So I'm Whitney Weller, a Senior Vice President with Brinshore Development. Okay, I'm going to talk really loud as best I can. So I'm Whitney Weller with Brinshore Development, Senior Vice President overseeing the West Coast. I'd like to call us Brinshore West. And with me is my colleague Anna Libby. And we are going to be your point of contact with respect to the sort of more of the physical development. And we're going to talk about that today. Our main reason for being here is to assist the Housing Authority with their vision to redevelop your homes and this site. And our goal is to help produce the financing, to make sure that we can do the work, to find the partners.
That word right up there.
I'm sorry, we're just not, the translators can't hear you, so they're having trouble translating.
Right. So we are here to help raise the money to do the redevelopment. We're here also to really dig in, look at the buildings to determine what needs to be done so that they are new, beautiful homes for all of you. We are also here to oversee construction, to make sure that what we planned and proposed is done well and it's high quality and it'll be long lasting. So that is really our role here. And again, I know that the word developer sounds scary because sometimes developers do come in and change things. But our goal here is to partner with the Housing Authority to be here to help you to redevelop and have new homes. And this is what we do. We partner with housing authorities across the country. And so we're really good at it. We're good at talking with you all, the residents, the housing authority team, to really understand what the needs are and how we can help you and help the housing authority. So that's our goal here. As you can see, we built 10,000 units of new units of housing and rehab. And that's what we're doing here, right? Is we're rehabbing your units into new, beautiful homes. So we've done this across the country and we're going to be here for you. We're going to be here to answer questions, just as the Housing Authority. Just think of us as an extension of the Housing Authority staff. That's what we're here for. So I'm going to have Anna talk a little bit, kind of walk through the timing of the schedule, if you will, of the planning, design, and reconstruction. And then also talk about exactly what we're going to do in each apartment and on the site. And then our architect, Jeff Frame, will walk through the actual changes to your units, which I think will be really fun. And then we'll be hoping to hear some feedback from you on what we're proposing.
What's happening is that, just so folks know, we have live translation in the back, and what's happening is the translators are having trouble hearing because there's a lot of sound in that back. So I'm gonna ask that we move the podium over here, pause it so that we can get as much direct sound as possible. And we might just need to kind of stand and yell.
Okay.
But I want to pause really quick. So we're gonna pause, make sure that we can get it. Can I get the translators? What do you need in order to hear from us so we can adjust? Okay, what about the other translators?
You're gonna have to really talk loud. Yeah. I know, do you want me to do it?
Can you all hear like this?
Yeah.
Yes.
You can put it at your mouth. Because when I put it in my mouth, I just hear it.
Yeah.
Also, it's actually more crosstalk, like, because we have Tagalog, Mandarin, and Spanish going in at the same time, so it's the cross translation. So that, let me see if we can troubleshoot before we jump in.
Okay. Sorry, folks.
Oh, you're welcome.
Thanks all. Sorry for the pause.
Yeah.
Anybody?
You're getting. Yeah, I'm thinking right here. I don't know, it's like-
Are we good back there now?
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
Thank you all for your patience. We're almost there. We just want to make sure every resident can get the information, so thank you for being understanding. We're good to go? All right. Intermission's over.
Okay.
We'll turn, I think you can come back. The mic was working. It was more crosstalk than volume, so I would still have Anna.
Yeah,
Mic. Without further ado, we'll have Anna Lydia from Brinshore.
Hi, everyone. Can you hear me? All right, great. I'm Anna Libby from Brinshore. I'm a development manager, so I work closely with Whitney and the rest of the team here throughout the development process. If I could go to the next slide with the timeline. So I want to give you a high-level overview of our schedule and what happens when, so you know what to expect. We are currently in the pre-development phase of the project since we were hired by the RHA back in August. And this is the phase which is really important where we're planning. Pause.
Okay.
Quick pause.
Address this. It should be April.
Oh, is
It's
that
not-
the old
it's not
slide?
in-
Yes, I will definitely address that. So we're in the planning phase right now where we're working closely with our design partner, Frame Architecture, to figure out the best design for every unit type and for this community center here. And we really want to get your feedback on that today as the residents of this property. We're also defining the exact scope of work that the contractor will be doing and figuring out exactly how much that will cost. We're doing a lot of due diligence on the property, including environmental due diligence to address any issues there. And most importantly, we're securing financing. So these projects are expensive because we want to do a really good job. And so we have to secure several different funds, both public and private, loans, grants, and equity. So that's a big part of what Whitney and I will do as the development partners. So this next bullet point is incorrect. It should actually say April to May is when we'll be doing relocation in phases, as Katie will get to shortly here. So she will cover that in great detail. But the first phase will start before construction starts, obviously, and that will be in about April. Meetings regarding relocation will start well before that, so everyone has plenty of time to understand exactly what's happening and exactly what the schedule will look like for them. So the first phase of relocation happens prior to construction starting. And construction will be starting in June after our financial closing, which is when all of our financial documents are finalized and signed and the funds will start flowing towards the project. So we are shooting for June. That's seeming like a very realistic timeline at this point. And then we expect construction to last about 2 years. But again, the construction will be done in phases, probably about 4 phases. So six months per phase. And at that point, the whole project will be complete. Everyone will be back in their new beautiful units and it will all be great. So I will go to the next slide, which is the scope of work for the project, which we are very much still defining. We're early on in the process, but we have a pretty good scope of work right now, based on, we've walked through all the many of the units, and we've walked around this community center and we've discussed with the RHA, and we definitely, again, want to hear from the residents what exactly the project should look like from your perspective. So that's what we're doing now to define the scope of work. We know we're going to be improving the layouts of every unit type. For instance, when you walk into a studio now, you basically walk into the bedroom, and we'd like to have a little bit more privacy for the bedroom. So we're going to have you walk into the kitchen and have the light, the windows open up towards the living room and the kitchen. So things like that will be improving the layout to make every unit a little bit more livable and marketable. We'll also be putting in new kitchens, bathrooms, really modernizing the look and feel of these units, repainting, new flooring, things like that. We'll be replacing most of the major systems in the building, so the HVAC, plumbing, electrical, so that those are set up to really last long-term and not give you any issues. We'll be doing any environmental abatement that is necessary, such as like asbestos and lead. Any issues that might exist will be taken care of in this process. And then we'll be doing some exterior upgrades. We actually think your property now is really nice. There's really some beautiful landscaping, nice pathways. So we want to just play off of that and make it a little bit nicer. And then really excitingly, we'll be renovating this building. So this is a really great big space, and we want to renovate it to make it even more usable, more functional for everything you might want to use it for. So that is the scope of work. I'll hand it over to Jeff and he'll walk you through our unit plans. And then we want to hold a discussion with you all to get your feedback on the unit layout, what's currently working for you, what's not, what you like about what you see, what you don't. And then a discussion on what amenities you would actually like to see in this community center and what you think would be the most useful for you.
All right, thank you, Anna, I appreciate it. Again, my name is Jeff. I'm with Frame Architecture. We're based right here in Reno. And we're just gonna walk you through real slowly about all the proposed changes that we're currently considering for each and every unit. Can everybody hear me back there? Are we good? We're good? All right, I got the thumbs up, thank you. Okay, so this is the studio plan. Like Anna said, this is the existing, what you experience right now. So when you walk in, the kitchen's kind of off to the right. You walk in kind of right into the bedroom. Over on the right would be the studio change that we are looking at. So we would actually bring the kitchen forward towards the entryway. You'd have a back kitchen counter, a front kitchen island, and then your living room would actually be in front of, your living room would be kind of where your kitchen is right now. It would be in front of all the big windows that you have right now. The bathroom would still be pretty much where it is right now, but it would be modernized. It would be a lot larger. It would be, obviously taking into account all the required accessibility requirements that we have. And then your bedroom would be more towards the back of the unit. So again, kind of a big change. The biggest change I think here is obviously moving of the kitchen over to this, to the wall right off the entryway. So you can kind of see a little bit of a sketch here of what we're doing, kind of give you a little bit better visual of what's going on. Again, the kitchen right here, this is the front door. Your kitchen's right here off the entryway, and then the living room, again, is in front of the large windows. So one of the things we noticed is we had these nice large windows, and we were in the kitchen and dining room and not in the main room where we spend a lot of time. And then you can kind of see on the three-dimensional view back there, kind of where the bedroom, and just kind of get a better feel for some of the space, some of the cabinet layouts that we're proposing right now. So this is the one bedroom unit. So again, kind of see the existing right here on the left. When you do enter the living room, the kitchen's kind of pushed in the back. The bedroom's off to the left there. Everything in this kind of stays basically where it is. The nice thing about this is obviously you can see the kitchen is significantly larger, there's just more to the kitchen than you have right now. The living room stays where it's at. We've got a kind of a basic furniture layout there. The bedroom's been remodeled. The bathroom does get remodeled again. We are updating everything for accessibility requirements, so there will be some changes in the bathroom and some in the closets that are down the hallway. But everything basically stays in the same place. It's just everything's a lot nicer, a lot larger for you. And you can see a little bit here in the colored plan right here. Kind of see, you get a little bit better feel just how much more amenity that kitchen has for you now versus what you have right now. Now the 2-bedroom units, we do have quite a bit of change here. Again, you enter, at least in this one, you still enter the living room. Everything's fine there. The bedrooms stay in the spot where they are. You can notice the big thing right now is the closets are a little bit bigger. We have a closet on the upper wall and one on the other demising wall. So you get more closet space than you've had before. You obviously get more kitchen space than you've had before. And then the bathrooms again are larger. They're again addressing all the accessibility issues that everybody has that we need to require. And there's our little bit more of a 3-dimensional sketch of the 2-bedroom unit and a better floor plan. So again, Anna and Whitney both said we are modernizing these. We are making them better. We're building a better community for you, and that's it's kind of what it's kind of been our approach so far. So anyway, these are just ideas, and we're really looking for some feedback from all of you today. We want to know what you like, what you don't like. So again, we hope to hear a lot from you. All right. Okay. Thank you, Whitney. One thing I kind of glossed over a little too fast is in the kitchen, we're proposing, kind of hard to see, and I want to make sure I still got the cord. We're proposing kind of a dining, an eating bar off your kitchen. So if you don't have a table or you don't want to bring a table in, we're giving you a built-in place to eat on all the ends. And what? Thank you. I like it when I get a fantastic. It always makes my day. I can now go through the rest of my day. I'm happy. So anyway, can we go back one more slide? I think we did this in every. Yeah, keep going. You can see that we're actually proposing this. I believe this is the 1-bedroom unit. You can see that bar over there. And let's go back to the studio. I apologize. So the studio is, you have more of an eating island. It's not technically connected to the rest of the cabinets in the kitchen, but we are giving you something built in there. So, yes, sir. We are going through all the finishes right now, and I appreciate the request. Yeah. Yes. Yes. Yes, so you can see that a certain number of the units will have walk-in showers. And you can see here on this plan, I believe this is still the bathtub. I don't know if we have. But yeah, actually in the 2-bedroom unit, if we go to the 2-bedroom unit. You can see in the 2-bedroom unit, there's a plan for what a walk-in shower would look like. So yes, walk-in, roll-in showers would be provided in some of the units. Yes, sir. You live in a 1-bedroom? I think we have to spread that around by unit type. So all units we're required that all units have a certain number of units with showers, not bathrooms. Yes.
So we're gonna talk a little bit more about meeting one-on-one with folks around relocation and what that looks like. When you're meeting with us, if you have any reasonable accommodations, if you have any disabilities, if you have any adjustments that you need made to your home, you're gonna wanna let us know. So something like that, sir, not to put your business out there, but if you have something that you need to navigate your home, when you're meeting with us around your new unit, you're gonna wanna mention that to us, and we'll make sure we work with the team to make those matches, okay?
Here, we want to go ahead. You want to finish up or?
Wanna,
Yes, sir.
Okay. Can you go back to there we go. This is, we're looking at 2-bedroom. Three-dimensional 2-bedroom. Now, being at the 2-bedroom plan, we used to have a closet in the hallway leading to the bathroom. Yeah, where's that at? And that looks like it's removed.
Bathrooms, so we have to make all the bathrooms bigger. There is, can we go back to the 2-bedroom plan, please? The new one, there we go. There is a closet in the bathroom. So, yeah, pretty much, give or take. You see what he's saying? 'Cause, yeah. I see what you're saying. There's 3 closets in the 2-bedroom unit. There's a small one in the bathroom and another one in the hallway and another one kind of opening up into the living room, yeah. So another thing to look at too is, okay, look how big, much larger the bedroom closets are. They take up a whole back wall of your bedroom versus what you have now. Yeah, so we've traded closet space for closet space in order. One of our ideas is to trade this in order so we can make the bathrooms bigger and accessible. So I don't know. Yeah, I would say you shift it around. I think the space, and I think what Whitney says is you actually end up with more closet space because your closets in the bedrooms are substantially larger. So it takes, if you look at the plan here, the 3 small closets that we have in the hallway and the small closets you have in the bedroom are now significantly larger in the bedroom. I think from a space wise, you end up with more closet space, if you will. Yes. Yes, sir. Yeah, I mean, you can see the kitchen, the new kitchen plan over here. This is a U-shaped kitchen in the 2-bedroom. You can see the amount of counter space we have. The stove is against the wall in the middle of the kitchen, so you have counter space on either side of it. That's, again, this is just the idea. The sink is against the back wall and the refrigerator is in that back corner now. So yes. And there are cabinets above. You can kind of see it in the 3-dimensional all around there on the far right. There's cabinets above as well. Okay, let's go back to the 1-bedroom real quick, please. Yeah. What? Okay, the question is, do you have to get rid of your dining table? Yeah, I think that's something that we need to consider and look at. Actually, in the far one, you can see, if I can get over here, my leash is a little short right here. And so let's answer your question right here. In the three-dimensional, here's that built-in eating bar. And we've left space to put a small dining room table in there. Again, this is very preliminary. We're just looking at it right now. You know, we're not 100% sure of, yeah, again,
Taking comments.
we're just taking comments and, yeah. Yes, yes.
And a much smaller living room.
Yeah, now the living room is kind of.
There's no closet in there that
I don't believe that the living room is actually a whole lot smaller. Because this wall right here in the bathroom is basically where the closet wall is right now. Yeah. Yeah, the living room ends up being the same size as the two bedroom in the way we. I agree, and and I appreciate the comment, and that's why we're looking at it today. Again, we're not starting to build yet, that's why we're here, this is a big deal today. Yeah, it's a good point.
But we want to hear it so that if there's an ability to potentially do it differently, in some units, we might be able to do that and have two different styles. But that's why we want the feedback. So just that, you know, it's very helpful for us to hear it.
Is someone taking down, the feedback that you're getting? Cause
Yeah.
I remember the first meeting, there was discussion that we would have an organized input meeting on what the design would be.
Yeah, and so, someone is taking down, we are taking notes. And that is really some of the purpose of this meeting is so that we could get this feedback. This is the first time that we've been at a point where we could provide any kind of conceptual drawings or information to you on the design, and that's why we're trying to get your input early.
Oh, yeah, I just wondered, I thought the conceptual drawing was gonna be done after we provided input.
So we wanted to have something for folks to react to, because otherwise it's very hard to try and understand what we're anticipating. And so I think that this is the first time, and then as we go through this process, as mentioned, we'll be back on site.
Got all my questions.
Okay, and we still have. And we still, one second, I just wanted to also mention, we still have a presentation and we'll answer questions on relocation. So, I just want to have some discussion on this and especially on the community room. And then, stick around, because we still have, Katie that's gonna talk more about relocation, but we'll do a couple more questions. I know the gentleman in the rear with the hand up.
I live in one bedroom. Yeah. We have, closet space. Bedroom. And we've got a boat. But we also have extra storage. Walk in. Yeah.
So,
Walk in.
So just to repeat, the comment was that currently there's numerous storage spaces within the units. And so that's something that we're definitely hearing and we'll take back and take a look at the floor plans and design. I do think that we're trying to keep a similar amount of storage space within the unit. So that is something that we're already looking to do, but we will revisit that.
Sir, to answer your question, you live in a one-bedroom unit? That's what you're saying? Okay, perfect. So this is your plan right here, right now, right? You have one bedroom, you've got a closet, you've got a So we have it, again, it's kind of one of those things, in order to make the bathrooms bigger and more accessible, we had to move the closet space around.
We're gonna take one more question, and then we're gonna talk about this building and what we'd like to see here.
Yeah, but.
Excuse me.
Question about the kitchen tab, the one bedroom, you've got that car there. Eliminates a whole wall full of cabinets, and I don't have enough as they are, they're all awful configuration.
Made the living room.
Currently.
So we had, this is the one bedroom? Okay. So the question about the number of cabinets in the one bedroom existing versus what we're proposing now. So in the one bedroom, this is a one bedroom kitchen. We have cabinets upper cabinets against the wall. What doesn't show here is we also have cabinets against this wall. This is the stove or the range. There'd be cabinets on both sides of that as well. Yeah.
Especially with relocation, which I think is really important for all of you. You have forms that you can provide additional information. I think we hear that, tables versus the breakfast bar, we've got storage, concerns about closet space. So we're gonna address all of those. We're hearing you, but we're also happy to take more comments. But I think right now we'd like to, yes, so JD's gonna show you.
Just so you all know, in this specifically, because we know we wouldn't be able to get to everyone in the discussion alone, please write down your comments, bring them to me or to an RHA staff member, and we will be meeting, we're having meeting after meeting with Brinshore and Frame Architecture. So even if you did say your comment out loud, still write it down, and so that we can have everything in writing and make sure that this also isn't the first time we're having this, and the only time we're having the conversation. So this is us opening the door. Please provide your comments and feedback in writing, and we'll go from there. Sound good?
Okay, so now we're gonna take the next like 10-15 minutes and talk a little bit about this building. All right, there's a lot of space here. You've been here, I'm sure, with a lot of different types of activities. But we're going to redesign it. And we'd like to hear your ideas about what types of space you'd like here, what types of activities you'd like to have here in the building. So we're gonna take a few minutes and just kind of hear your ideas. Yes, sir.
Change the kitchen, put in a walk-in refrigerator and walk-in freezer, not the big walk-in one, but little ones and stuff, because right now we share this with the RHA. So there's one refrigerator in the kitchen area for RHA. There's a freezer out here. There's a freezer out here, and then there's another refrigerator which is used by the tenants or the resident board for their concessions and stuff like that. So if we can get more space in there, some better ovens, better wiring, and stuff, because we keep shorting things out in there, would be nice. A nice new kitchen that we can, cook dinners and and have dinners in this room. You know, as a community.
All right, so more walk-in refrigerator, more, better ovens with better wiring and just a nicer space to
Yeah.
cook and prepare meals. Okay? Automatic opening doors. Okay? Good comment.
Ramps to all the entrances, including the mail drop for our rent.
Ramps to all the entrances, including to the mail drop. Okay, we got a lot of nodding heads on that one. Good comment. Any other ideas? Or it can also be activities that you'd like to see.
Rewiring so we can watch, listen to movies. We have the same problem on movie night that we're having here now. We can't hear the movies. So we need to rewire this room, so it's got speakers and, well, it doesn't have to go elaborately, but you know, it has to have a nice sound system. So like when we have meetings like this, you guys can be heard in this room, in that room, you know,
Yeah, okay,
and,
so better.
and stuff. I'm sure the room out there might need some, speakers and stuff for when people, especially, very soft-spoken women are talking, you know, not to point anybody out here, but, you know, so people can be heard.
Great.
A lot of us are hard of hearing because we are older. You know, hopefully I'm getting the hearing aid soon, so I don't have to scream and yell at people. So I'm not really screaming, yelling, I just talk loud so I can hear myself.
Those are all really good, those are really good comments.
I got you.
I also will mention, I know the resident council recently submitted some information to RHA for the $5,000 that's been made available for improvements at the property, and we are conveying that list to Bryn Shore as well, so that those thoughts can be captured, because we're not gonna be able to do a multitude of them just with the $5,000.
And
So that information is also being.
Oh,
Sorry, we're gonna have the gentleman, with cap on.
Yeah, I just want to repeat that, just so we make sure we get everything on record, is that just to have a better wiring system overall for movie nights, other types of events and activities, and keeping in mind that some folks are a little hard of hearing, and we want to make sure we take that into consideration. Yeah.
Setting down like the top lines, people pay their rent. Oh, yeah. Not everybody can just come over here to pay their rent.
Yeah.
That's actually.
And I would say that that's coming, it's already in the works, and it's actually not connected to this project. It's gonna be something for all of RHA's properties. So that's in the works currently. Great suggestion. Oh, the gentleman, said that considering a way to pay your rent online. And that is currently, happening. We're currently putting that in place. Yeah, so you'll hear about Rent Cafe, shortly, but yeah, so that will be something that's likely in place before this project is, actually even completed. So thank you for the suggestion. It's a good point. And ma'am, here in the front, I cut you off, so.
Yep, we are definitely planning on a fitness room with, incumbent bikes and treadmills. Okay, great. Yes, sir?
Yeah, that's a great idea, that small exercise area, but also a small technology, maybe a small technology center with 4 computers or something. If people are tired or don't know how to use computers.
Yep.
Here.
Okay, so suggestion is a small technology center with maybe like 4 computers, so people can utilize those. Great idea. We often have computer centers in our developments. Did you have a comment? Hold on. Okay, you're good. Okay. One more?
One more, maybe an enclosed dog area instead of like around this area so that it's closed.
Oh, it's like a dog run?
Yes.
Ah. A dog
Yeah,
run.
it's not, they can do that, just enclose it for people who want to have their pets and they can let them be
Right.
there.
Okay, yes, those are very popular these days.
Yeah.
Okay, so a dog run, dog area. Appreciate that. That's a good comment.
Or you put stackable washing and dryer.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, yes.
Stackable washers and dryers as an idea, yeah.
When we get there, the laundry rooms need to be totally redone. I don't know which government agencies you built the ones that we have, but they were backwards. Because they put the washers the way in the back, the dryers way in the front, and the folding table way in the back. I do more work moving my laundry around than I can get it folded, it's more work.
Okay,
So if we could get it designed that and maybe 2 weeks, for each, the dryers and for each of the washers, you know, so more people can use it at a time, than having to wait for one person to get that and then use it again, so you can use it.
great. So the committee is to reorganize the laundry room so they're more functional and to also potentially add additional, both washers and dryers. Okay, one more question.
Or have the washer and dryers in the unit, a lot of people are elderly or disabled, having to carry their laundry back and forth and maybe if it was designed in the unit would be a lot better.
Also consideration to putting in unit washers and dryers. Okay, and if I potentially hookups. Okay, one last one.
We're good.
So the last comment here is about different materials, particularly in the kitchen and the counters. We will definitely be having new materials in the kitchen, something completely redone. They'll be much more functional. Okay, next.
Thank you. And I know that all of you probably have some more ideas, feedback. That's again why we wanted you to have that written form. We're really curious to read the ideas you have. I'm sorry if you weren't able to say your suggestion out loud. We want to make sure that we give Katie enough time to talk about relocation. And I'm gonna hand the mic over to Katie.
Perfect. So I'll go through a few minutes of talking. I see some folks leaving, which is fine. Can everyone hear me okay? Is it better like this or better like this? Okay, so I'm gonna go over a few minutes of relocation and then we can open this back up for questions. And we can talk both about relocation and some of the design pieces. Does that work with everyone? Okay, so Katie from Housing to Home run and own the company and got to meet folks a few months ago. Who's feeling a little bit nervous? Yes? Yeah. Who's excited about the work they're hearing about? Yeah? Yes? No? Is anyone, you're excited?
No, I would have looked at it. It's possible to have a second section for smokers.
So questions for smokers.
I got it.
Okay.
It was a suggestion for a separate section for smokers.
Yes.
Okay, I'll let them know. And we're also taking notes over there diligently, so we'll make sure it's incorporated. Well, let's go ahead and transition to specifically around relocation, and then we can get back to design later.
So the good news is nothing is happening through the holiday. Yay, right? We excited? So this is the last time you're gonna see and hear from us until we get through the holidays. The other good neus is we're going to have a staff person on site starting in March that's gonna help you every day get through this. How's that? Good. And the other good piece of news is the majority of folks we're gonna really work with to move one time into a renovated unit. That's what we're really gonna try to do for the majority of people. Okay? So nothing's happening before the holidays. Starting in March, we're gonna have an on-site person that's here, working with everyone one-on-one. And then the majority of folks are gonna move one time into a renovated unit. Okay? How are we doing so far? And this is a work in progress. So what you heard last time is a little different from what you hear this time. What you hear next time might be a little bit different. As we hear from you, we go back and we change and we come back with more information. Okay? Doing okay so far? This light is blinding. Sorry, I'm trying to find a good spot. I guess I'll go back here. So our first task when we get here in March is going to be to meet with everyone one-on-one. And you're going to ask plenty of questions, repeat a lot of what you were said today. We're going to get to know you and your household.
We're not trying to be nosy. We're trying to get all this information so we can find the unit that you move into, the home that you move into is the best match for your family. Okay? So nothing happens for the next few months. We have an awesome staff person here in March. I get to come back. Maybe there's some skiing, not sure yet. And then we're gonna start meeting with everyone one-on-one. As construction starts, everyone's gonna get a 30-day notice. So you're gonna hear from us a lot. And then as the first phase starts, as people have described, this is gonna happen in phases. Not everyone's getting relocated at once. It's gonna be many phases. Before your phase goes, you'll get at least a 30-day notice, okay? And the housing authority, what I'm describing today, the housing authority is required to do, and my job and my firm's job and my staff's job is to make sure we're all doing that, okay? So that RIN and that GIN notice, does anyone want to tell me what that means? No, still no? But you know, you got it. The RIN and the GIN notice is required. This 30-day notice is required. When it gets time, like 2 weeks out, you're gonna get a 2-week notice. It's gonna remind you how to pack up. It's gonna remind you of what unit you're going to, have the address, have the time that you're moving, okay? Just give me a few minutes and then I'll answer all your questions, I promise. And then you're gonna move, and we're gonna have a fully licensed bonded moving company that will move, that have done this many, many, many times. My staff will be there to oversee your move. If there's certain things that you want to pack and you don't want anyone touching, we'll make sure that happens. If you don't want to be bothered with anything and you want the movers to move everything, we'll make sure that happens, okay? And again, when we meet with you one-on-one, you're gonna want to tell us this information, right? I have some dishes I don't want anyone else touching. I got for my grandmother, no one's touching them. I'm gonna pack them, I'm gonna put them in a box, and I want to move them, right? And then you're gonna say, this couch is huge, I want nothing to do with it. You know, there's a bed that has a huge assembly required, we want the movers to do it, and we'll have that happen, okay? So big picture, because then I'm gonna go into a few details, but big picture, nothing's happening now. People are gonna have great holidays. And then actually start the new year, it's still gonna be quiet. In March, we're gonna have a staff person here on site for my team, meeting with everyone, right? And then starting, you know, in April, May, we're gonna start relocating, construction's gonna start. Everyone's gonna get 30-day notice before your phase. So if you're in the last phase, you're not getting 30-day notice for a while, right? But if you're in the phase in June, you'll be getting 30-day notice before that. And there'll be a big push when we start in March to start meeting with you one-on-one. You don't have to reach out to us. We're gonna reach out to you. And that's specifically important at this property because we're gonna go by phase. And so if you're in the 5th phase, number 5, and my staff team is working day and night to get the first phase ready and you call, they're not being rude, but they might say, can I make sure I have the right contact information? We're just getting the first phase ready. Once I have them ready and we're closer to your time, we'll give you a call and go through some details, okay? Again, this is gonna be different than what people heard or will hear about Hawkview, okay? Doing okay so far? Okay, and then I just wanna reemphasize, nothing's being paid out of pocket. You're not paying for any packing materials, you're not paying for movers, you're not spending any money. And so nothing's coming out of pocket.
I'm so sorry, I know.
Depending on the question, we'll see if I might punch for just 2 more minutes.
We have a chance to see the unit that we're moving to before we make that transition.
That we'll have to figure out as a team, so let us make sure we're noting that, Coral. And we'll get back to you. I will never promise you something that I can't say yes for sure. I can't say that to you, so I would never want to tell you something I don't know the answer to.
The reason why I asked, if you guys show us a unit that you think might be good for blah, blah, blah.
Yep.
We don't like it.
I got you.
So.
I got you. So let us work on that as a team, okay? Tilly. Oh, yes, I'm sorry. So the question is, can you see the unit before you move into it? And we're gonna work on as a team and get back to folks with that answer. I understand why people would want to, right? So they know where they're moving into. We just need to coordinate that with timing and with construction and development. So we will be back in touch. I can tell you that Coral will not let us forget that. So a few more things I just want to say, and we're going to get into this one-on-one. This is really going to vary person by person. If you are in the first phase, you are going to have to move off-site for a number of months in order to make how we're describing the phase-in work happen for the rest of the project. So the next question is, am I in the first phase? We don't know yet. We're figuring that out very quickly. I will tell you, if you are in the first phase, my team is going to be laser focused on you, and we'll probably actually be reaching out to you before March. That's how much we really want to make sure you're prepared and understand what an inconvenience it is, and we're going to work together. So the folks in the first phase are going to move off-site. We're working with the housing authority to figure out transfers and also other opportunities in the neighborhood. Okay, great. And so JD's just reminding me that will be a combination with this first phase, adding in the transfers, the Reno Housing Authority units, the units in the neighborhood, and then we actually will have some units here that we can work with. Okay, so the first phase is going to be a little different than everyone else. All right, and we're gonna figure out that first phase as quickly as possible because people are nervous. I would be the same way. Like, am I in the first phase? What does this mean? We're gonna figure that out as quickly as possible. We will meet with you first, right out the gate. Okay. So the minute that we really have that group, we'll probably start letting you all know and working together earlier. And then the second point I just want to make, want to just be open with this group. There might exist some households that have to move into a unit here at Silverada for a little bit and then move to another unit. They might have to do a two-way move. That's not the way we're trying to plan this. Like I said, the majority of folks here, you can walk away knowing that we're going to move you once into a renovated unit. That is what we're all trying. We are working a lot to try to make that work. It just works for everyone. Give me 1 minute, sir. It works for everyone. And then, like I said, there'll just be a few folks, and we're going to let you know as soon as we know that might have a different scenario. Okay?
Otherwise, you want people that move without suitcase and then move back.
Let me get to that in a second. We can take that when we do questions. Okay, just give me like 2 more minutes. I wanted to say, final thing is translation. As we're working with folks, if you need translation into other languages, just let us know. Written material, one-on-one, any language my team works with, from Farsi, Amharic, Spanish, Haitian Creole, any language you can imagine, we translate for, so you just need to let us know.
I know previously when we met, there was a question about whether family members could be involved in the process.
Yes.
And,
Yep.
that is fine. Katie's team would just need authorization that they could share information or talk with your family member about your particular situation. But if you have a family member that you would like involved in the process, just let Katie and her team know at the time.
Yeah, a few months ago, so I do this work all over the country. I have decades of experience. This is amazing, thoughtful relocation. I can't tell you all sometimes what I'm walking into, but I walked into a household in New Hampshire a few months ago who had 10 family and friends that wanted to meet with us. Working with an elderly woman who was very specific, had a lot of issues we needed to take care of. And they had 10 family and friends, and totally welcome that, right? Like, if this was my mom, that's how I would be rolling with my siblings and my family. So just as long as, like Hillary said, as long as we have permission, if you're not talking with us, we just need that. But if you're part of that group and you're welcome into their home, we're happy to have them. So we talked about Ringen, 30-day notices, assessments, translation, anything?
That's just one part, but.
Hold on, I'm gonna get you 1 second. I'm gonna open it up I'm done. You're done with all the talk. Yep, I think that's it.
Yeah.
Want me to open it for Q&A?
Yeah, general Q&A.
Yep, we'll start, I had,
So I got,
I stopped that gentleman.
yeah, and then this gentleman and this gentleman, and then whoever else you got.
Okay, you got this here.
Yeah,
Here, and back.
Best.
Go ahead, yes,
Me?
yes,
I,
yeah. I got you.
I just have two questions.
Yes.
Number one, you said that we may be moved into a renovated, unit or one-time move. What do we want to go stay where we are? Back.
Yeah, so the question is, and if people are leaving, that's fine, if we could just, if we could all just pay attention to each other's questions, because I guarantee you that we have the same questions. So the question was, we said that you're moving into a renovated unit, one way. Why can't you move, can you move back to the unit the home that you moved out of? And the answer is no. So we can't guarantee that anyone can move back to the home they moved out of. If there are reasonable accommodations, if there's circumstances we need to know about, when we meet with you one-on-one, please tell us about them. And we'll make sure we're working as a team to figure it out. But no, the intention is not that you can necessarily move back to the home that you move out of.
Yeah, and then one thing to add on to it, totally understandable question from the housing authority's perspective. We're trying to minimize impact on the number of times you have to move. And two, if we set it up that we try to move everyone back into their same exact unit, this project would take years, because logistically, the moving back and forth so everyone can end up would greatly extend both the cost and the time for the move. So in order to get you into a brand new renovated unit, the most straightforward and least impactful way for us is to do a one-way move from your current unit into the renovated unit. Again, I do want to note, like what Katie said, some of you may have a reasonable accommodation, or you may have some a conversation you want to have with Katie or the housing authority about your specific unit, but we cannot guarantee that unless you have a conversation and we're able to find a solution there. That I don't want to set false expectations that if I talk to Katie, we're going to be great. I encourage you to have that conversation, but we can't promise it for those reasons. It's want to get back to their same unit.
So it's if you move to the question was if you moved to a renovated.
If we move, you said that when our time comes up, you're gonna move us to a renovated unit, a one-time move. My question is, why can't we, after my current one, because I like where I'm at,
Got it.
why can't I go back there?
Okay. Just wanted to-
Yeah, no, I appreciate the question. That
Yeah. Okay,
sir, you said you had two questions, right?
Another one was the mail thing. Change, there's just a new thing came up in the post office, says that you have to go down to the post office now with proof of ID to change your address.
Yeah.
So how is that gonna work?
That's beautiful.
So again, to reiterate why we want to do one move into a renovated unit, that would be a one-time change that you have to make versus a back and forth. Also, mail.
Yeah, okay.
For mail. Also, that would be, again, part of why Housing the Home is gonna have a staff member. They're going to be working with you on whatever the process looks like to change the mail.
Yeah, I think I think they got letters now saying to do something different with their mail.
No, but I think what the gentleman saying.
The process is,
The post office has changed the process.
That's right.
Change your address.
yeah. So I think,
You have to physically go down there and show my ID now.
Oh, okay.
so whatever the actual process is, Housing the Home's gonna walk everyone through that. Yeah, you're not gonna be on your own doing that.
And so we had here,
Okay,
yeah, and then back here, and then I saw here.
okay, just one quick question, does this kind of affect the rent? Is it one way or the other?
Yeah. So the question is, will this affect the rent one way or the other?
Unless if you were if you're paying flat rent, you have you're not receiving a subsidy anyway, but if you are in a subsidized unit currently, your rent will stay the same. Yes, so yeah, the proportion of, like, you pay 30% of your income towards rent right now, you will continue to pay 30% of your income towards rent based on that.
Reading on the page there, it says we're moving, and I've heard you say a couple times, moving back into renovated units. So we're not really moving out into the community out there. we're sticking around Tom Sawyer, this area. Unless you might be in the first phase, and then you might be going out.
No,
Is that?
Yeah.
that's absolutely correct.
Tonight's presentation.
Yeah, we're gonna bring you back tonight. You can present on it.
Okay,
So
I'll be adding dishwashers.
Let's build that list. No, yeah.
So what I will say is, yes, what you described is accurate. Our hope is to minimize the amount of folks who have to move more than once. So ideally, what we're doing is we're freeing up units through phase one.
Right.
The idea, what we're gonna do there, for as many people as possible in phase one, we're gonna have them temporarily relocate into a current unit that's vacant right now. We're gonna free up part of phase one. Some folks may need to be temporarily relocated off-site. We're trying to keep that number as minimal as possible. They would be relocated off-site for a number of months. Once that one phase is done, the hope is that the vast majority of folks will move one time into a new unit. They will not have to move again. As Katie mentioned, there are circumstances, particularly, this, as we work through the logistics, there might be a household who has to move twice. Regardless of if that's you, you will get support both ways. The same amount of assistance, all the costs, all of that is covered. It's just logistically, there are some of you who may fall into that group. We're trying to keep that group as small as possible. But the realities of the project mean we can't guarantee everyone has a one-way move. I'll come back to you, okay?
Well, my question goes back to, changing, because if we're changing, residents, those that are moving off property and those that are moving around in here, are you guys going to help us with DMV getting new driver's licenses and new?
Yeah.
All that stuff?
So when our staff member is here, so the question is, if you're moving around and having to change your address, will we help with DMV and licenses and whatnot? And yes, we'll help with everything. And just for people to think through, is it Lifeline? Do you all call it Lifeline? Yes, Lifeline. So if you have Lifeline, if you have Meals on Wheels or social services, if you have prescriptions delivered, anything like that, that's Amazon packages, who doesn't love Amazon, right? Like lots of heads nodding. Anything like that you need to change your address, we can give you a hand with and we'll help you. So when we're meeting and doing that assessment, like I said, we're not trying to be nosy. I'm not trying to see what prescription you get delivered to your house when, I promise you. But I just want to make sure that if you rely on that prescription, that we can let them know you have a new address and you'll have that prescription and nothing will go wrong. Okay, so anything like that, just flag for us. And sometimes people will say, oh, this is silly, or I'm not sure if I should show you this or tell you this, something in the unit. Just feel free, it's just between us to understand if you have a huge fish tank or if you change something in your bathroom to make it easier for you to use the bathroom, anything like that. There's no judgment. We just need to know so we can get you best organized in the new home. Okay, so many times I've had folks move into a new home that needed a grab bar and they didn't ask and they have an accident. It's like, it's heartbreaking. So just please tell us what you need for the new home.
Is it back there? So the question is just so the question was around phasing, right? Just to reiterate, you said folks who are in phase one will need to move twice. You're saying if you're in the last phase. So if you're, ideally what we're doing, I can't guarantee it, the last phase is going to be moved into a renovated unit, and some of those folks who are off-site will come back in. Phase one, sir, yes, you're correct. No. Yes, so you're right, no, you are right. For everyone who is temporarily relocated somewhere else, there will be a move to your temporary relocation and back. But sir, I need to understand, we said the vast majority of folks we are aiming will not be temporarily relocated. They will be relocated one time into their permanent unit. But you're right, I can't guarantee that only phase one is temporarily relocated into a temporary unit. Some folks, they have to be temporarily relocated, in which case there would be 2 moves. We're trying to minimize the number of that through the phasing. There is a chance that at any point, 1 or 2 households in a different phase for logistic reasons may be temporarily relocated. I don't want to guarantee that if you're in phase one, you're fine. If you're not in phase one, you're fine. But phase one, yes. It's a great question. The question is regarding the construction phasing, which will be why we'll determine how many folks are relocated in phase one versus the other phases. We don't have a for sure number of buildings. That is the idea, though. We'll identify a certain amount of buildings. Part of that is we're having conversations with the general contractor, so the developer, Reno Housing Authority, and then the folks actually doing the construction. We're going to come up with a phased plan, and then that's when we'll be coming back to you when we have that final number. You're not going to be going in blind in terms of phasing, but yeah, in terms of that's what will determine what section needs to be in phase one, and then from there we'll flow from there. You will know. We'll communicate with you ahead of time which phase it looks like your building's going to fall into. And everyone gets a 30-day notice, and you'll have been connected with the Housing to Home team before then as well. Hold on, we're just gonna try to take it in order. Okay, I think I'm understanding. So the question, just for folks to know, if you were in the last phase, I don't want to talk about a back building because we don't know which is the back building. There's no determination of if you're in the front building or the back building. But let's say you're in the last phase. The question is, if I'm in that last phase, the way that we're talking about it, it seems like there isn't another unit to go to. So would I, in that last phase, because everything else folks have moved back into, is essentially what you're asking. So I don't want to make a guarantee. We're trying to, some of the folks who have been temporarily relocated offsite, they may remain offsite a bit longer than the folks who are moving onsite. There is a chance that we would kind of like backfill, those folks would come back on, but there is a chance at any point in any of these spaces that some folks may have to do the temporary relocation so we can finish the project. Our hope is to minimize that, but I understand your question, and I think it is a possibility depending on how the project has worked up into that last phase. You're welcome. It's a great question. So if you are relocated, temporarily relocated, you're asking about the number of options. Because this is not a permanent relocation, you will be given one option, because this is not you securing a new place that you're going to live moving forward. This is a temporary situation, and we will provide one option for that.
And with that, the question was around if there's just one option. With that one option, we will make sure that it's meeting the needs of your family and your household. So if you had a reasonable accommodation, if you needed a first floor for some reason, and you have, medical information that's backing that up, then we'd be working with you to get you onto it.
Okay, but that's the temporary, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So in other words, you've been out of your suitcase.
Yeah.
Because everything you have, would be all packed up and gone.
So your question is, if it's a temporary relocation, you're gonna be living out of your suitcase because your other stuff's been packed up, you're no longer there. I would say at this point, sir, it's not worth us giving you a definitive answer. That would be something that we would specifically discuss with Housing to Home to see how much of your stuff's gonna come with you into your temporary relocation. If there's other options for some of your stuff. So I'm not gonna say, yes, you're living out of your suitcase, but I'm gonna say it's a little bit more complicated and it's worth a one-on-one conversation versus us having that conversation here in the big group. Well, again, I don't want you going out doing any of that right now. Yeah, and that's why I said that I want, depending on if you fall into that category, that would be a conversation with Housing to Home, who's gonna help you identify what does that move look like? What are the options? Is storage part of that temporary relocation? Some folks may not want that. Some folks may want that. that's a conversation that will happen with the households who are temporarily relocated as part of this project, which, just for the 100th time, we want to keep to an absolute minimal. We are doing our absolute best to make it one-way moves for as many people as possible. Ma'am, you've been very patient. So the question is related to the renovation, the rehab up here of the community building. My assumption is it's during likely what, as you know, RHA folks, we have office space here. So we have a different project where we are renovating an office space for the folks who are coming. And that project, where's Corey? She's gonna roll her eyes at me. But that project hasn't started yet. So that timeline impacts how quickly we can start renovating here. But I would imagine this isn't the first thing that we're gonna renovate. It's too early to say when that renovation would be happening, but the project wouldn't be complete until this is done. So it depends on, again, that's a conversation we'll be having with the general contractor and the developer. So it would kind of depend on like labor, who they have going. Could they have an electrician here? Well, this person's over here. So some of that's a little bit too in the weeds. I hear what you're saying. So I don't know where this is gonna fall in terms of order. But again, all of that will be communicated with you once those decisions and that planning is a little bit more firm. I love the questions. The questions are it's really great. I hope I'm giving you I'm honestly trying to give you as much information as I can. And I also don't want to Katie's point, I don't want to promise something that I can't say 100% right now. So are there any other questions, sir?
Is this property, the outside, is it gonna, take a facelift, which means, are they gonna change the appearance? Go up, stay where they are and be a different color, a facelift?
Yeah, facelift. So footprint wise, we're keeping the footprint the same. We're not going up, we're not adding anything. On the exteriors, there may be some exterior changes. That is one is a conversation with our architect. It's also about the financing. Like, right, we really want to focus in on maximizing what's happening inside your unit. We want to, as much of the budget's going to go to the interior. There are some things that may happen on the exterior. We're going to try to maintain the landscaping as much as possible. These big trees, this beautiful landscaping would cost us a lot of money to redo. So we don't want to redo something that that is already a great asset for the property. So we're going to do our best to protect it and keep it. In terms of like some cosmetic uplifts on the outside, I think that's possible, but I'm not gonna tell, we're gonna paint it purple, and then you're like, man, this was yellow. I don't know what you were talking about. So right now, some of those details aren't decided. It is possible though. Nothing significant. It would be, maybe some, it would be some minor cosmetic kind of things like that. Nothing, we're not talking about, this looks like a brand new futuristic property. It's gonna have a lot of the same character. I gotta vote. I'm not. Blues and greens, we're gonna add that to the list. Different color. Yeah, okay. What about like fuchsia with purple polka dots? Alright. You got a question?
The area with gate.
Okay, I actually don't know if that's a possibility, but what you're asking is perhaps gating the property in some way. That's something we'll add to the list. At this point, I would say the answer is likely no, but that will be a conversation we have. And what I would say, that's a design consideration, but also part of that is for RHA when it comes to managing a property and the cost it is to maintain a gate, especially if it's like a lift gate. There's some other things that we'd have to look into. Security cameras. Better security cameras. Okay, so security cameras on the renovate. I'm gonna have Hetty over there write that down. So security concerns for sure. All right, yeah, so security measures, including cameras, well, that will definitely be a design consideration. And I know that we are moving to having cameras on lots of our properties, so I wouldn't be surprised that we, in the final design. Okay, it's good to know, thank you. Okay. Right, that, the horror movie effect of, okay. So we have, so the suggestion was for folks to hear it was better exterior lighting, but not putting that exterior lighting over the bedroom windows. So better lighting and a better location of the lighting and less Friday the 13th feel when it comes to the flickering. Okay. Yeah, that's the aesthetic we're going for, less Friday the 13th. Thank you. All right, it's been a bunch of great feedback. I know where folks are starting to leave. You've been here for close to 2 hours. Really appreciate it. I will stay here as long as you need me to. But I think it's good for a time for us to bring this meeting to an end. I want to thank our folks from Brenshore, Katie for coming out, and we're really looking forward to answering all your questions, and really every step along the way, we will be walking this with you for the next couple of years while this project moves forward. Thank you, yes. And as Hillary said, we are having the same meeting, the same presentation, an opportunity for folks to ask questions. We're doing that again tonight at 6 p.m. I know I'm very engaging. You love listening to me. So if you want to come back and listen to me talk some more, you absolutely can. But don't feel any pressure. It's the same exact meeting. We're not gonna share additional information at that meeting that wasn't shared here. That being said, if you'd like to come back and join us, please do. And let your neighbors know if they weren't able to make it tonight or today, please have them come back tonight. Yeah, so you can hand it to me. Thank you all.
So hot.